Hello everyone, I'm Dante and welcome to another Anthem update. The VIP demo is here. It's already had its ups and downs, so let's break down day 1 of Anthem. This is going to be a mix of my first impressions alongside breaking down some of the pros and cons so far. Before I get into my impressions on how the demo plays, I think it's important we first address the issues. The major one being the servers. As soon as they opened, they dropped. Which I was expecting. It's common for the login servers to fall over on the first go. This happens to companies like Blizzard who have spent years perfecting this approach, so for a company that hasn't done it before on this scale, it was to be expected, even if they have EA backing them. For the demo, this meant difficulties first of all getting into the game. Then it gets worse when the Origin servers crashed, kicking almost everyone out and, like myself, unable to log into Origin itself for over an hour. Not a great start to be sure, and it turns out the servers weren't actually being kept out due to logins at all, which is the usual culprit. It was an entirely separate issue. Apparently, though I can't verify this 100%, they were multiplying the logins due to the netcode, which effectively meant they DDoSed themselves. Seems like they identified the problem from what Casey was saying, so fingers crossed there will no longer be an issue. Next week will be the big test for this, and set a lot of opinions as we move into launch. Linked to this was an issue causing loading screens to get stuck at 90 to 95%, though I'm almost certain this is all linked to the same core issue on the server side. This wasn't the only issue though. Another one I had made it seem like the instance itself crashed. This only happened in one specific place on the second mission. Restarting the mission fixes the issue, but still frustrating. But once I got past this point, it's not returned. Just a couple of crashes when handing in missions, all of which seem to have been resolved at the time of recording. Now I've got the major negatives out of the way, once you get in, how is the game? In short, I've really enjoyed my time with Anthem, both the story side and the javelin combat. I've unlocked my second javelin, the Colossus of course, and spent a good few hours on both the Ranger and Colossus over the missions and freeplay. I've got to say I'm impressed with the combat, and it becomes clear just how deep the combat really is once you've played different javelins. I've played through the missions both solo, which certainly was doable but much slower, and more methodical than playing with a full group. I queued up with complete strangers to see how the game feels in as many environments as I could. All of them were fun. This was only amplified once I got the Colossus and settled into a build that I liked. Everyone working together, even without voice comms, though this will get harder on the higher difficulties. When it comes to the controls, I'm somewhat mixed. I've only been using keyboard and mouse to see if I can get a setup I enjoy. All of the combat in the game runs fine. It's just the flight that needs some finesse, that the default controls lack entirely. The use of a virtual thumbstick feels a little bit odd, but with all the options they've added, I've been able to improve it greatly. If you're set on using a keyboard and mouse over a controller, I'd recommend turning down the sensitivity a lot for general movement, down to around 30 for flight and swimming, but max out the responsiveness. I'm not sure why this is actually an option. Having it any lower makes flight feel sluggish. The looting aspect, though limited in the demo, shows promise for a really deep system. I think this might come as a surprise to anyone who thinks Anthem is just another Destiny game. Destiny right now is less complex than just the slice of Anthem's demo. The best aspect of Diablo 3 and other loot games is apparent throughout. The outside world looks amazing, even if the frames drop below 60 on occasion in combat. Their environments are gorgeous, especially when you're standing high up on a cliff surrounded by water. The day-night cycle makes a significant impact on the world. Seeing different aspects of it draw your attention as new wildlife seems to come to life. And for the story side of things, I actually really like the split. To me, Fort Tarsis is like a mini version of the Citadel. And yes, the conversations don't have as many options, but they feel more impactful, even in a small slice of the game. For example, let's take a look at the bartender Amal. Over the course of 3 conversations, I gave him relationship advice on how to say no, whether he should help a neighbour, then how to deal with the consequences of that, as he got attacked in his home and what steps to take. On top of learning more about his background as an actor, linking into shows about freelancers and his outlook on life within Tarsis, then times this by every NPC you speak to, whether they're critical to the core plot or not. As well as being a fun side story and insight into the wider world, I'm left thinking, how far will these go over the course of the game? And does there come a point when the decisions have drastic changes to them or even cross over their story arcs depending on your choices? You can easily miss out on little details over the course of the game, or learn new ones you would have otherwise missed. This carries over in a less interactive way to the codex within the game, cataloguing the places, people, organisations, wildlife and enemies you face. As a lore nerd, I love these details, and the cortex you're able to loot aren't just a paragraph of throwaway lines. They are in-depth accounts from multiple sources on top of the new raw facts within the game. All in all, I'm very happy with my time in Anthem so far, and this is only the beginning. The story is interesting and engaging. The unique characters that tie perfectly into what you see and do outside the fort. It might be early days, but I'm hooked and can't wait to see where the story takes us. This is all supported by the foundations of a great looting game, with in-depth mechanics that we are far from discovering all of. Over the weekend, I'll be getting in some time with the Stronghold, bring you some lore tidbits, gameplay, mostly from the Colossus, and more opinions as I squeeze every piece of content out of the demo. If you're still having issues logging in, I'll post a link from Casey Hudson that has a support thread for all known issues. If you have these issues, then hopefully they can be fixed soon. If not, make sure to tell EA Help so they can resolve it. I hope everyone gets some time to play the game and enjoys it as much as I have so far. That's it for today's update. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. Provide your thought and feedback about anything I've covered or this format below. You can support the channel by subscribing and using the bell to be notified of future content as it goes live. And until next time, I've been Dante, thanks for watching.